Jai Hind everyone. Subject name Technical Communication. Subject code KS301. My name is Dr. Neetu Sharma, Assistant Professor from Applied Sciences and Humanities. The unit from which I have taken the topic today is Unit 4, and the name of the unit is Technical Communication Skills. In this unit, we will cover interview skills, and in this topic, interview skills, we will cover these subtopics: types of interview, preparation of the interviewer, common questions asked in the interview. So let's start. Now first you need to understand what's an interview. An interview is a planned conversation with a specific purpose between two or more people. Basically, an interview is a conversation between two people, the interviewer and the interviewee, where questions are asked by the interviewer to obtain information from the interviewee. It means the person who asks the question is called an interviewer and the person who answers the question is called an interviewee. This word interview has been derived from the Latin and Middle French word which means to see between or see each other. This word interview can stand for different things. Like for example, when a reporter takes the interview of a celebrity for a television, it is usually a one-to-one interview. It is usually based on one-to-one interview. But when it comes to television, there may be several reporters from different channels. In the similar way, there is a job interview where a person has to go through in order to get a job. So includes lots of paperwork, and it is usually based on a face-to-face interview. So if we talk about job interview, this is the sequence of interview which is usually followed in a job interview. The first one is called screening stage, second is selection stage, and third one is the final stage. So these are three stages which are generally covered in almost all the organizations. The first one is called screening stage. Screening stage is also called preliminary stage because at this stage, the main motive of the employer is to screen out the unqualified and undeserving candidates. In this stage, the employer tries to judge that whether the candidate is able to fulfill the requirements of the job or the organization or not. So after this stage, the candidates are invited for further examination. But you need to clear first your screening stage. So in this stage, the candidate is advised to be as brief as possible while answering the questions of the interviewer, and also he needs to show or he needs to demonstrate his strong abilities and qualification during this stage. Now the second stage is called selection stage. So obviously in this stage the candidate is the candidate has to face several people, some from human resource department, some potential colleague, and some supervisors. In this stage, the main motive of the employer is to judge the candidate's abilities and organizational capability, and he also wants to judge the interest and zeal of the candidate for the job he is seeking for. So in this stage, it is advised to a candidate to show his zeal and interest for the job, that he should be able to show his zeal and interest for the job he is seeking for, and also he should be alert and attentive. You should try to respond all the questions of the interviewer. Then the last one is called final stage. So some organizations also conduct this interview for final evaluation of the candidate, and the candidate has to face some high-ranking officers during this stage. These high-ranking officers, they ask certain questions from the candidate, and then after that they take final decision that whether he may receive an offer, a job offer or not. Okay, and the final decision is conveyed on the spot, either on the spot or through an email. Now these are different types of interview: face-to-face interview, behavioral interview, phone interview, panel interview, exit interview, stress interview, and technical interview. So let's discuss all these interviews one by one. The first one is face-to-face interview. This is a traditional interview and the most common type. In this interview, the candidate and the interviewer meets face-to-face. So this is the interview which is conducted, or which is usually based on a face-to-face interview, and the main motive of this interview is to create a rapport between the interviewee and the interviewer. So you need to be very alert, you need to make eye contact, you need to have a smile during this interview, and try to respond all the questions of the interviewer as well. The second one is behavioral interview. A common type of job interview in the modern workplace is the behavioral interview or behavioral event interview, also called a competency based interview. This interview is based on the notion that the candidate's past behavior is the best indicator for his future performance. So in this interview, the interviewee or the candidate he is asked to recall certain instances where they were faced a set of circumstances and how they reacted. So these are questions which are asked to actually judge how he reacted and how he responded during when he faced certain set of circumstances. Tell me about a project you worked on where the requirements changed midstream. What did you do? Tell me about a time when you took the lead on a project. What did you do? Describe the worst project you worked on. Describe a time you had to work with someone you didn't like. Tell me about a time when you had to stick by a decision you had made, even though it made you very unpopular. Give us an example of something particularly innovative that you have done that made a difference in the workplace. What happened the last time you were late with a project? Have you ever witnessed a person doing something that you felt was against company policy? What did you do and why? So these are the kind of questions that are asked in behavioral interview. Phone interviews. So phone interviews, these are conducted by the employers when they want to dwindle down the list of the candidates or the list of the prospective candidates before making a final list for a face-to-face interviews. And these are also conducted when a candidate is at a significant distance from the company premises, like in another state or in a foreign country. So phone interviews are conducted at that point of time. Panel interview. So in panel interview, so it's a committee which is appointed for taking the interview. In panel interview, there may be 4 to 5 members, and each member asks a certain set of questions about different aspects from the candidate, and then a decision is taken collectively by all the members of the committee by rating the candidate. So in panel interview, we have 4 to 5 members, and they all ask questions collectively from the candidate about different aspects, and then they are judged or evaluated. So that is called panel interview. Now next is called exit interview. So exit interview is conducted when an employee leaves the organization. So these interviews are conducted to know the reason that why the employee is leaving the organization, and these are conducted either by his immediate supervisor or by the HRD manager. Exit interviews are also conducted to create good image of the company in the mind of the person who is leaving the organization. So these are called exit interviews when a person leaves the organization that are conducted. Next is called stress interview. This interview attempts to find how applicants would respond to aggressive, embarrassing, rude and insulting questions. A stress interview allows interviewers to see how well you work under pressure. So in stress interviews, actually the interviewer wants to know that how you handle pressure. So they ask you certain set of questions and they play a trick in this interview. So they actually put a pressure on you when they ask you certain set of questions and they do not give you enough time to respond the questions. Then they ask further questions without giving enough time to respond the questions. They also do not allow you to sit. They ask questions in an interrogatory and rude tone, and they also provoke you intentionally. So in this interview, you need to face pressure, and how you handle them patiently, you need to show. The next is called technical interview. In technical interview, the interviewer actually he tries to judge your problem solving skills and your creativity skills. The questions aim at your problem solving skills and your creativity and thinking skills. So these interviews are mostly, sometimes they are conducted on a computer module with a multiple choice questions. Now we have discussed about different types of interview. I hope now it is clear that why these interviews are conducted, what is the need of the interview, what are the objectives of interview. So let me tell you again, after elaborating that what is an interview, after explaining you the term of the interview and the types of interview which we face in our daily life. So the need of the interview or the objectives of interview is to select the best candidate for the job, to judge the overall personality of the candidate, to judge different attributes and skills which are not mentioned in his CV, to judge your actual strengths and weaknesses, and obviously to judge your communication skills and how you behave. So these are the main objectives of an interview. Now these are some common interview questions which are asked in job interviews. Let me read all of them one by one. Tell me about yourself. Why did you leave your last job? What experience do you have in this field? Do you consider yourself successful? What do co-workers say about you? What do you know about this organization? What have you done to improve your knowledge last year? Are you applying for other jobs? Why do you want to work for this organization? Do you know anyone who works for us? Now these are do's and don'ts of interviewing. It means these are do's and don'ts for the person who is taking the interview, for the interviewer. Okay. So when the interviewer takes the interview, he should not assume anything. It means that he should not make any prejudgment about the candidate behavior or his attitude or about his thinking process. Okay. So first of all, he should take interview and critically evaluate that, and after that he should make a final decision. Do not ask both open and closed questions. It means that he should ask both kind of questions. Do ask both open and closed question. It means he should ask both kind of questions, open and closed one. Open means to that the candidate should be able to elaborate whatever he is asked from him, and he should also, there are other certain set of question also in which he can reply only in yes or no. So that are called closed questions. Do verify understanding through probing and confirming questions. Do avoid confrontation. Do act in a friendly but professional manner. Do not interrupt. Do listen actively. Most of the time what the interviews do, they actually do most of the talking during the interview. So they should not do this kind of thing. They should not interrupt when the interviewee is answering the question, and also the interviewer should listen actively or attentively to the interviewee. Do take notes, but do not to be obtrusive about it. It means you should not be, you should make notes, you should prepare what the candidate has replied and how he has responded, but please try to be in such a way that it should not irritate you or it should not create problem for you. Do let the interviewee do most of the talking. Do establish rapport early and maintain it. Do maintain control over the subject matter. Do establish a time frame for the interview and stick to it. Do conclude positively. Be polite and courteous. So these are some do's which an interviewer should do. Now, what are the final tips for the interviewee, for the person, for the candidate who is actually attending the interview? So these are the tips for the interviewee. Know the company, confirm important details, switch off your mobile, no wet fish handshakes, ask questions, body language and job offer. So let me explain all of these one by one. Know the company means that you need to do some kind of homework. You should be pretty well acquainted with the company and what type of work it deals or it has. You should also know about the internal culture system of the company, its annual reports, its mission, about its mission and vision statements. You should also have knowledge about the company internal affairs. So you need to do some kind of homework. And how can you do this? Obviously, you can do this by collecting information from different sources. You can use companies' brochures, pamphlets, newsletters, annual reports and companies' websites. Confirm important details. So confirm about the time when you need to arrive, and please make sure that you arrive at least 15 minutes before the scheduled time to create a good impression. Try to reach the location a day before using the same method of transport so that you can reach on time on the same day. And please try to memorize the name of the interviewer as well. Switch off your mobile. So you should switch off your mobile to avoid any kind of distraction. No wet fish handshakes. It means that you should try to have a warm handshake with a firm grip, because this this has a deeper significance when we talk about handshakes. And if you do it firmly, if you do it confidently, then it has a deeper significance. Ask questions. So you should not skip this chance also, because this is the last chance to create a good impression on the interviewer. So this is the only chance where you can show your research skills about the company and a planned set of questions. Body language. You should not smoke, you should relax, and you should make eye contact and have a smile on your face. Make eye contact when you are speaking to someone. Do not give answer only in yes or no, and if it seems something unclear to you, please ask questions. And when you are answering, try to be brief and honest. So that the body language you need to adopt. Now, and the last one is job offer. So obviously, when you accept the offer, that is you can say it is a kind of verbal contract, right? But if you are not sure, then ask for some time, but please try to give your reply within 24 hours. Now these are some common questions which are asked by the interviewer, and how you should respond them I am going to explain you. Tell me about yourself. Start with your name, give your place information, education in short, job experience or project experience if any, family details in short. So if they ask you this question, tell me about yourself, then how you need to reply? Let me explain you. You can say like this: I am Saurabh Kumar. I live in Aligarh, which is famous for its brass headwear and sculpture. I have done my intermediate from a meritorious school, Ludhiana. I am pursuing my BTech from Computer Science and Engineering Department at GGI Ludhiana, and I can work in both shifts. Now, what are your strengths? So these are some of the strengths which you can show: adaptation, hardworking, honest, flexibility, optimistic, fast decision making, self-motivated and outspoken. So you can say, or whatever the strengths you have, honestly you need to reply here. You can say I am self-motivated, hardworking, and I can work in both shifts. I have a positive attitude towards life. So in this way you can reply. What are your weaknesses? Straightforward, sensitive, more talkative, trust people very quickly. I can't say no when someone asks for help, and take decisions very quickly. So these are some of your weaknesses. Please don't say like I'm a very nervous person, I don't have confidence, I fear when I face people or public, I cannot speak up. So these are some of your weaknesses which show that you are incapable for doing the job. So please don't show that kind of weakness which actually brings you in unfavorable light. So these are some of the weaknesses which you can tell, and you also need to tell that how or what are you doing to overcome these weaknesses. Now, what are your career goals? So there are two kinds of goals, short-term goals and long-term goals. So you need to do some kind of self-exploration, that what are your goals of your life. If your goal is not clear, it means that you are not clear in terms of what you want to achieve, right? So short-term goal means that what you want to achieve after 1 year or 2 years, and long-term goals means what you want to achieve after 5 years or 10 years of your life. So my short-term goal is to get a reputed job in your company where I can utilize my skills and improve my career path. My long-term goal is to be on a respectable position in your organization. What are your salary requirements? Never share your salary requirements as a fresher. Always say yes as per the company norms for the job. So if you are a fresher, then how you need to reply of this question? You can say like this: sir, as I'm a fresher, salary is not my first priority. This is a big platform for me to start my career, and I also want to improve my knowledge and skills. So I expect a considerable salary as per my ability and your company norms, which can fulfill my economical needs. Do you have any questions to ask me? So this is the last tip which I am going to give you here. Express thanks. You can ask question related to all these aspects: job timings, job location, overtime allowance, transport facility. Can conclude more points or strengths about yourself. So this is the last chance for you to create a good impression. So do not skip this chance also. You need to ask some questions, and obviously you must have some kind of query, or you must have some kind of doubts which you want to clear. So first you need to express thanks. You can say like this: sir, thank you for giving me such a great opportunity. Sir, I would like to know about the job timings and location. So in this way you can ask question. Writing a CV and resume and a covering letter. So I'm going to cover in this lecture only about the covering letter, because as you know that we have covered in this unit that what are the interview skills and what are the questions that are generally asked. But before that you need to get the opportunity for interview, right? So how can you get the opportunity? First you need to write a covering letter, and you need to send a CV or resume to the company where you want to get the job. So how to write a covering letter, that you need to understand, so that you can get the opportunity for the interview. So let's understand first one, that what is a covering letter. A covering letter is a document you send with your CV. However, it differs from a CV in that instead of being a written overview of your skills and experience, it's specifically written with the job you are applying for, allowing you to highlight certain areas you think would make you right for the role. So you highlight your specific skills, your specific education, which is directly related to the job you are applying for. Obviously, CV is a detailed you can say detailed biography or detailed sketch of your skills, of your experience, of your educational background. But in covering letter, you only specify or you only write specific skills, specific education which is directly related to your job. You highlight these important things in your covering letter. So job advertisements often need a covering letter to highlight the applicant's best qualities. A covering letter needs to say a lot more than just here's my CV. It needs to tell the person, or you can say the employer, why you are the ideal candidate for the job. You need to pick out the highlights from your CV that are relevant to this specific application, request for an interview, and try to find out the name of the recipient, so that to use dear Mr. X instead of dear sir or Mohan. So you can mention the name also in your covering letter. So you should also try to know the name of the recipient to whom you are sending your covering letter. So this is the structure of the covering letter. First we write the sender's address. So in sender's address, it means you who is applying for the job, your name, your address, your city, state, zip code, your phone number and your email. After that we leave space and then we mention the date. Like today's date is 11th November. So you then write like this, 11th November, 2022. After that you write the name of the person to whom you are sending. Title, it means the name of the department. If it is a human resource department, you can write below this human resource department. Then name of the organization, like LG Electronics Private Limited. Write the full address of the company, like Surya Nagar, Kasna Road, Greater Noida, its state and zip code. After that you can write name of the person, dear Mr. Verma. If you have written name as Mr. or Doctor, whatever the address or the title the person has, you need to write. And then after that you can write dear Mr. Verma. Then you need to write the first paragraph, second paragraph and third paragraph. What will you write in these paragraphs, I will discuss later. First I need to tell you or explain the structure of the covering letter. After that you will write yours sincerely and faithfully. If you have written here name, dear Mr. Verma, then you need to write yours sincerely. But if you have written dear sir or dear ma'am, then you need to write yours faithfully. After that write your name in bracket, put signature, and then this is okay. So this is how you need to write your address in the left corner. Then your date, it should align with the address. Then the person you are writing to, his or her address. I have written the designation, the personal director. If you have know the name of the person, you can write Mr. N.K. Verma, personal director. Then write the address of the company, dear sir or madam, yours faithfully, and then your name. So in this header, when we talk about sender's address and receiver's address, make sure you address the letter to a specific person. If possible, preferably the interviewer. As I have told you, try to know the name of the interviewer. Now, what you need to write in the first paragraph. So this is the structure for a covering letter as we are discussing. So I want to explain you that what you need to write in the first paragraph. In the first paragraph, state the job you are applying for, where you found out about it, like advertisement in any kind of newspaper or organization, you need to mention, and which of their, because obviously the employers, they want to know that which of their advertising sources are being successful, when you are available to start work, and if it is a placement, right? So you need to write in the first paragraph for which position you want to apply. So you can write like this in the first paragraph: sir, please consider me as a candidate for the position of assistant marketing manager in your esteemed organization advertised by you in the Times of India. Put the date also on which it was advertised, dated so and so. This job is especially attractive to me, for I know that LG offers a wide variety of household durables for which my education and experience have prepared me. So in this way you have clearly specified that from where you have come to know about this vacancy, and also why this job, why you are interested particularly in this job, because your education and experience have prepared you for this, and you know that LG deals in what kind of product. Now the second paragraph, in the second paragraph you need to write why you are interested in that type of work, your key experiences and qualifications, and why you are suited for this job, why the company attracts you. If it's a small company, say you prefer to work for a small friendly organization. So in the second paragraph you need to mention about your qualification, right? You need to mention your qualification which is directly related to the job you are applying for. So you can write like this: sir, I have done my MBA from Bombay University in so and so year. because you are a fresher, so you can mention about your project which you have done in your final year, right? So you can and specify what the responsibilities you have handled there. So you can state like this: sir, during my summer term I performed various duties in marketing and research department at Samsung company in 2000, like the year in 2018 or 2019 I joined Samsung as a management trainee, and I gained lot of experience in marketing and consumer research department and products and designing under excellent supervision. So in this way you can mention what the responsibilities you have taken in during your summer training. Then this is the last paragraph. So obviously this is the last paragraph where you need to mention that what you want from the employer or the person you are writing the letter to. So obviously through this letter you want to get an opportunity for the interview. So this is the thing which you need to mention in the last paragraph. Thank the employer and say you are writing for being called for the interview. If you start with the name, as I have already mentioned you, for example, dear Mr. Blogs, you should end with yours sincerely. If you start with dear sir or dear madam, you should end with yours faithfully. So in this paragraph you can write like this: sir, I am a hardworking person who enjoys the challenges of marketing. I love traveling. I do hope that I shall have an opportunity for the interview in your esteemed organization for the position of assistant marketing manager. I have enclosed my resume for your consideration. Thanking you, and after that you can end. This is the closing format. So that's all for today. Have a nice day.